A horse becomes paralyzed while saving a 5-year-old girl from a fatal accident. When the owners had already decided to put down the animal with no hope of recovery, the little girl made an incredible discovery that left everyone in shock. As the sun rises over the rolling hills of Vermont, its golden rays paint the weathered red barn and white farmhouse of the Miller family homestead. The farm, nestled along a quiet country road, has been a fixture in the Green Mountain State for generations. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the sweet scent of fresh hay and wildflowers. In the nearby paddock, a majestic chestnut horse named Rusty grazes peacefully, his coat gleaming in the early morning light. His gentle eyes occasionally glance towards the farmhouse, as if waiting for someone special to emerge. The farmyard comes to life as chickens peck at the ground, searching for their breakfast. A border collie named Max trots dutifully around the perimeter, keeping a watchful eye on the flock. The barn cats stretch lazily on the front porch, basking in the warmth of the sun. Inside the cozy farmhouse, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and homemade blueberry muffins wafts through the air. The kitchen, with its worn wooden table and cheerful gingham curtains, is the heart of the home. Family photos line the walls, telling the story of the Millers through the years. As the screen door creaks open, a little girl with pigtails and bright blue eyes bounds out onto the porch. 5-year-old Emily Miller, dressed in overalls and rubber boots, is ready for another day of adventure on the farm. Her infectious giggle echoes across the yard as she heads straight for the paddock, eager to greet her best friend, Rusty. This idyllic scene sets the stage for a story of love, friendship, and the unbreakable bond between a child and her animal companion, a bond that will soon be tested in ways no one could have imagined. At the heart of our story is Emily Miller, a vibrant 5-year-old with a mop of golden curls and eyes as blue as the Vermont sky. Emily's infectious laughter and boundless energy light up the farm. She's a curious child, always asking questions and seeking new adventures. Her favorite outfit is a pair of well-worn overalls and bright yellow rubber boots, perfect for exploring every nook and cranny of the family farm. Emily's best friend and constant companion is Rusty, a gentle giant of a horse with a chestnut coat that shimmers like polished copper in the sunlight. Rusty has been part of Emily's life since the day she was born, watching over her with the devotion of a guardian angel. His soft brown eyes seem to hold a wisdom beyond words, and he has an uncanny ability to sense Emily's moods, offering a comforting nuzzle when she's sad or a playful gallop when she's happy. Sarah Miller, Emily's mother, is the backbone of the family. A woman in her late 30s with kind eyes and laugh lines that speak of a life filled with joy. Sarah balances running the farm with caring for her family. She's known in the community for her award-winning apple pies and her ability to solve any problem with a mix of common sense and compassion. John Miller, Emily's father, is a tall, broad-shouldered man with calloused hands that speak of years of hard work. Despite his imposing stature, John has a gentle demeanor, especially when it comes to his daughter and the farm animals. He's a man of few words, but deep feelings, and his love for his family is evident in every action. Max, the family's loyal border collie, rounds out the Miller household. With his black and white coat and intelligent eyes, Max is more than just a pet. He's an integral part of the farm's operations. His herding instincts are impeccable, and he takes his job of keeping the chickens in line very seriously. But when his work is done, Max transforms into a playful companion for Emily, always ready for a game of fetch or a cuddle. Living just down the road are the Millers' closest neighbors and friends, the Thompsons. Martha Thompson, a retired schoolteacher in her 70s, is like a grandmother to Emily. With her silver hair always neatly pinned up and a pair of reading glasses perched on her nose, Martha is full of stories about the old days and always has a freshly baked cookie for Emily when she visits. Dr. David Carter, Sarah's cousin, is the final key character in our story. A renowned specialist in human implants and rehabilitation, David is visiting from Boston, where he works at a prestigious medical center. In his early 40s, David has a keen mind and a compassionate heart. His salt and pepper hair and wire-rimmed glasses give him an air of authority, but there's a twinkle in his eye that hints at a playful nature beneath his professional exterior. These characters, each with their unique personalities and roles, form the close-knit community that will soon face an unprecedented challenge. Their bonds of family, friendship, and love will be tested as they come together to support Emily and Rusty through the dramatic events about to unfold. On a bright summer morning, the Miller farm buzzes with its usual activity. Emily, full of energy after breakfast, decides to help her father feed the chickens. As she scatters feed across the yard, one particularly adventurous hen darts away, catching Emily's attention. The hen, perhaps enjoying the game, leads Emily on a merry chase around the barn and towards the road. Emily, focused solely on her feathered friend, doesn't notice how close she's getting to the country lane. In that moment, time seems to slow. Rusty sees the danger Emily is oblivious to, a car speeding around the bend, the driver distracted by something inside the vehicle. With a loud neigh of alarm, Rusty breaks into a gallop, racing towards Emily with single-minded determination. As the drama unfolds on the Miller farm, we delve deeper into the emotional connections between our characters, particularly Emily and Rusty. Flashbacks reveal tender moments between them. Rusty gently nuzzling a toddling Emily, steadying her as she takes her first steps. Emily feeding Rusty apples from her small hands, giggling as his whiskers tickle her palms, the two of them silhouetted against a setting sun. Emily's arms wrapped around Rusty's neck in a loving embrace. Sarah and John watch their daughter's relationship with Rusty with a mixture of joy and gentle concern. They've always marveled at the intuitive connection between the child and the horse, but they also worry about the risks that come with Emily's fearlessness around such a large animal. Sarah reminisces about the day Rusty came into their lives, a wedding gift from John's parents. He was meant to be a working horse, she reflects, but from the moment Emily was born, it was clear his true purpose was to be her protector and friend. As the story progresses, these deep-rooted connections provide the emotional foundation for the characters' actions and reactions, heightening the stakes of the unfolding drama and underlining the potential for heartbreak and hope that lies ahead. Max, the border collie, serves as both a loyal worker and a playful companion. His relationship with Emily is one of mutual adoration. He patiently allows her to dress him up in makeshift costumes and always seems to know when she needs a furry friend to confide in. Max's protective instincts extend beyond the farm animals to Emily herself, often positioning himself between her and any perceived threat, no matter how small. Martha Thompson, the kindly neighbor, represents a link to the community's past and a source of wisdom for the Millers. Her visits to the farm are highly anticipated, especially by Emily. Martha's stories of the old days captivate the young girl, painting pictures of a simpler time when the bonds between people and their animals were an essential part of daily life. These tales subtly reinforce the special connection Emily shares with Rusty. Dr. David Carter, upon his arrival at the farm, is initially seen as an outsider. His city clothes and professional demeanor contrast sharply with the rustic farm setting. However, as he interacts with the family, particularly Emily, we see his demeanor soften. He's fascinated by the young girl's innocent wisdom and her deep bond with Rusty. David's presence brings a hint of the outside world to the farm, symbolizing the potential for change and new perspectives. The interactions between these characters create a rich tapestry of relationships. We see how Martha's stories influence Emily's imagination, fueling her adventures on the farm. David's scientific mind is gradually opened to the possibility of emotional connections that transcend human understanding, primarily through his observations of Emily and Rusty. As the story unfolds, these interconnected relationships will play crucial roles in facing the challenges ahead, each character bringing their unique strengths and perspectives to bear in the face of adversity. Rusty reaches Emily just in time, using his body to nudge her away from the road's edge. However, in his desperate attempt to save the child, Rusty loses his footing on the gravel shoulder. He slips, his large body twisting awkwardly as he tries to regain balance. The car's driver, finally noticing the unfolding scene, slams on the brakes. The screech of tires fills the air, but it's too late. The vehicle clips Rusty's hindquarters, sending the horse tumbling to the ground with a heart-wrenching cry. Sarah and John, alerted by the commotion, come running from the barn. They find Emily unharmed but hysterical, and Rusty lying motionless on the ground. The driver of the car, a local teenager named Tommy, stumbles out of his vehicle, visibly shaken and remorseful. As they wait for the veterinarian to arrive, the gravity of the situation becomes clear. Rusty is alive but unable to stand. His eyes, usually so bright and alert, are clouded with pain. Emily sobs uncontrollably, her small hands stroking Rusty's mane as she whispers promises and pleas. Dr. Anderson, the local veterinarian, arrives and conducts a thorough examination. His face grows increasingly grim as he assesses Rusty's condition. Finally, he pulls John and Sarah aside to deliver the devastating news. The words hit John and Sarah like a physical blow. They look over at Emily, still curled up next to Rusty, and the thought of telling her seems unbearable. The days following Rusty's accident are filled with a heavy silence that blankets the Miller farm. The family grapples with the vet's recommendation, torn between ending Rusty's suffering and holding on to hope for Emily's sake. Emily, refusing to leave Rusty's side, sleeps in the barn, despite her parents' gentle attempts to coax her back to the house. Her once cheerful voice is now quiet, save for the soft words of encouragement she whispers to Rusty. The sight of the little girl curled up next to the injured horse becomes a heart-wrenching tableau that even Martha Thompson, with all her years of wisdom, struggles to find words to comfort. John and Sarah face their own internal battles. John, practical by nature, understands the financial and logistical challenges of caring for a paralyzed horse. Yet every time he considers the option of euthanasia, the image of Emily's tear-stained face stops him cold. Sarah, torn between her maternal instinct to protect Emily from further pain and her own attachment to Rusty, finds herself caught in an impossible situation. The community rallies around the Millers, offering support and suggestions. Some, like old Mr. Jenkins from the neighboring farm, share stories of animals they've had to put down, trying to normalize the idea for Emily. Others, like the local 4-H club, propose fundraising ideas for Rusty's care. While well-intentioned, these efforts only serve to highlight the complexity of the situation and the difficult decision that looms. As news spreads, the Miller farm becomes the center of a local debate about animal welfare and the extent of care owed to injured livestock. Local media picks up the story, adding another layer of pressure to the family's already stressful situation. The weight of the decision bears down on the family, creating tension where there was once harmony. John and Sarah find themselves arguing in hushed tones, trying to shield Emily from their disagreements, but struggling to find common ground. Dr. Anderson continues to monitor Rusty's condition, but each visit brings no change and no new hope. The vet gently reminds the family that prolonging the decision is also prolonging Rusty's discomfort, adding another layer of guilt to their already heavy hearts. As the Miller family grapples with their heart-wrenching dilemma, each member reacts in their own unique way, setting in motion a series of actions that will shape the course of their story. John, feeling the weight of responsibility as the head of the household, throws himself into researching alternative treatments for Rusty. He spends late nights hunched over his laptop, poring over veterinary journals and reaching out to specialists across the country. His determination is fueled by a mix of hope and guilt. Hope that he might find a solution, and guilt over not being able to prevent the accident in the first place. Sarah, ever the nurturer, divides her time between caring for Rusty and supporting Emily. She sets up a comfortable area in the barn where Emily can stay close to Rusty, complete with a small bed, books, and Emily's favorite stuffed animals. Sarah also takes on the task of fielding calls and visits from well-meaning neighbors and reporters, shielding her family from the growing public interest in their situation. Emily, in her childlike wisdom, decides that if she can't make Rusty better, she can at least make him comfortable. She spends hours reading to him, singing his favorite songs, which she insists he has, and creating elaborate stories about the adventures they'll have when he's well again. Her unwavering belief in Rusty's recovery becomes both a source of inspiration and heartache for her parents. Martha Thompson, sensing the family's need for support, practically moves into the Miller home. She takes over the household chores, ensuring that life's basic necessities are taken care of while the family focuses on Rusty. Her quiet presence and occasional words of wisdom provide a stabilizing force in the chaotic atmosphere. Dr. Anderson, moved by the family's plight, reaches out to colleagues in equine medicine, seeking any possible alternatives to euthanasia. Though he remains realistic about Rusty's prognosis, he finds himself going above and beyond his usual duties, making frequent visits to check on both Rusty and the family. John's relentless research eventually leads him to a controversial experimental treatment being developed in Europe. While it offers a glimmer of hope, the astronomical cost and unproven nature of the treatment create a new source of conflict between him and Sarah. Their late-night discussions grow heated, with Sarah arguing for practical considerations and John insisting they need to try everything possible for Emily's sake. Sarah's protective instincts go into overdrive. She becomes increasingly wary of outsiders, worried about the emotional impact on Emily. This leads to tension with Martha, who believes that the community's support could be beneficial. Sarah's well-intentioned actions begin to isolate the family, creating a rift in their usually strong community ties. Emily, picking up on the adult stress, starts to internalize the blame for Rusty's condition. She becomes withdrawn, spending more time with Rusty and less with her human family and friends. Her schoolwork begins to suffer, and her usually bubbly personality dims, concerning her teachers and parents alike. Martha, feeling helpless in the face of the family's pain, redoubles her efforts to help. She organizes a town meeting to discuss ways the community can support the Millers, inadvertently bringing more attention to the situation than the family is comfortable with. Dr. Anderson, caught between his professional opinion and his emotional investment in the case, finds himself questioning his initial recommendation. He begins exploring alternative therapies, even those he would have dismissed as impractical before, driven by the desire to offer the family some hope. The arrival of Dr. David Carter, Sarah's cousin, adds another dynamic to the situation. Initially skeptical about the emotional attachment to a farm animal, David finds himself intrigued by the complexity of the case and the family's devotion to Rusty. His presence brings a new perspective, but also raises questions about the limits of medical intervention and the nature of the human-animal bond. As these actions and reactions intertwine, the situation on the Miller farm grows increasingly complex, setting the stage for the pivotal moments to come. Dr. Anderson has called the family together, along with Dr. David Carter, to discuss Rusty's future. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation and dread. Emily, sensing the gravity of the situation, clings to Rusty's neck, her small fingers entwined in his mane. "I'm afraid we've reached a crossroads," Dr. Anderson begins, his voice heavy with the weight of his words. Rusty's condition isn't improving, and he's starting to develop secondary complications. We need to make a decision about his care and his future. Dr. Anderson continues, outlining the grim realities of Rusty's prognosis. He speaks of muscle atrophy, potential organ failure, and the constant risk of infection. As he talks, the storm outside intensifies, rain lashing against the barn's roof and wind howling through the eaves, as if nature itself is protesting the dire situation. John, his voice strained, brings up the experimental treatment he discovered. "There's a clinic in Switzerland," he says, a note of desperation creeping into his tone. "They're doing groundbreaking work with spinal injuries in horses. If we could just get Rusty there." As the adults debate, Emily's soft voice cuts through the tension. "But Rusty's not ready to give up," she insists, tears streaming down her cheeks. "He told me so." "Emily," he says, kneeling down to her level, "can you tell me more about what Rusty has told you?" "What if," he begins, "we've been looking at this all wrong? We've been trying to find human solutions for an animal problem. But what if the answer lies in the unique bond between Emily and Rusty?" Dr. Anderson looks skeptical. "David, I appreciate your optimism, but we're dealing with severe physical trauma. Willpower alone can't mend a broken spine." As the adults debate the merits of this unconventional approach, the storm outside reaches its peak. A particularly loud clap of thunder causes the barn to shudder. And in that moment, Rusty lets out a pained whinny. Emily, startled, stumbles backward and falls. The room erupts in a flurry of activity. John rushes to Emily's side, helping her up, while Sarah and Dr. Anderson move to calm Rusty. But Dr. Carter stands transfixed, his mind racing with the implications of what he's just witnessed. The tension in the room reaches fever pitch as the implications of Dr. Carter's words sink in. Could there really be hope for Rusty? Could Emily's unwavering faith and love be the key to his recovery? As the storm begins to subside outside, a new storm of emotions and possibilities swirls within the barn. The family finds themselves at a crossroads, faced with a choice that could change everything. Do they take a leap of faith into uncharted territory, risking heartbreak but clinging to hope? Or do they make the painful but practical decision to let Rusty go? The next few moments will determine not just Rusty's fate, but the future of the entire Miller family. The air crackles with tension as they stand on the precipice of a decision that will alter their lives forever. In the charged atmosphere of the barn, Dr. Carter's revelation sparks a flurry of activity and debate. The adults huddle together, their voices a mix of hope, skepticism, and concern. Emily, oblivious to the gravity of the adults' discussion, remains by Rusty's side, whispering words of encouragement to her equine friend. Dr. Carter, energized by the possibility of a breakthrough, begins to outline his idea. What if we combine physical therapy with a regimen that leverages Emily and Rusty's emotional bond? He proposes. We could design exercises that require Rusty to respond to Emily's voice and touch. It might stimulate neural pathways we thought were permanently damaged. Dr. Anderson, though still cautious, finds himself intrigued. It's unconventional, he admits, but I've seen animals respond to their owners in ways that defy medical explanation. If we monitor Rusty's condition closely, it might be worth trying. "We can't get her hopes up if there's no real chance," Sarah whispers to John, her eyes darting to Emily. The adults rush over, hardly daring to believe. Sure enough, Rusty's tail twitches slightly, a movement that had been absent since the accident. It's small, barely perceptible, but undeniably there. Dr. Carter's eyes light up with excitement. "This could be the sign we've been waiting for," he says. "It's not definitive, but it suggests there might be some residual nerve function we can work with. We'll need to start with gentle physical therapy," he explains, his words tumbling out quickly. "Massage to improve circulation, passive movement exercises to maintain muscle tone. But the key will be incorporating Emily into every aspect of the treatment." As the doctors continue to brainstorm, John and Sarah have their own moment of revelation. They realize that this journey, whether successful or not, will fundamentally change their family dynamics and their way of life. Sarah takes his hand, her eyes shining with resolve. "But look at them," she says, nodding towards Emily and Rusty. "How can we not try?" In that moment, faced with their daughter's unwavering faith and the unexpected glimmer of hope for Rusty, John and Sarah make their decision. They exchange a look of mutual understanding before John kneels down next to Emily. This declaration marks a profound turning point for the Millers. What began as a tragedy has transformed into a mission, one that will test their resilience, challenge their beliefs, and ultimately redefine their understanding of love, hope, and the bonds between humans and animals. In the weeks and months that follow the Millers' decision to pursue Rusty's rehabilitation, the farm transforms into a hub of activity and hope. The barn becomes a makeshift rehabilitation center, with equipment donated by the community and guidance provided by both Dr. Anderson and Dr. Carter. Emily takes on her role as Rusty's primary motivator with unwavering dedication. Every day she's by his side, encouraging him through exercises and therapy sessions. Her voice, filled with love and determination, becomes Rusty's beacon, guiding him through the challenging journey of recovery. The family adapts to their new reality with remarkable resilience. John modifies his work schedule to accommodate Rusty's care, while Sarah takes on the task of homeschooling Emily to ensure she doesn't fall behind academically. The community rallies around them, offering support in various forms, from helping with farm chores to organizing fundraisers for Rusty's medical expenses. Progress is slow and often frustrating. There are days when Rusty seems to regress, and the emotional toll on the family is palpable. But there are also moments of triumph. The first time Rusty manages to stand with support, the day he takes his first wobbly steps in the hydrotherapy pool, the morning Emily discovers he can feel her touch on his hind legs. Throughout this journey, Dr. Carter meticulously documents every aspect of Rusty's treatment and progress. He begins to see the potential for groundbreaking research in animal rehabilitation, inspired by the unique approach they've taken with Rusty. As months turn into a year, Rusty's progress becomes more pronounced. The horse that once lay immobile in the barn is now able to stand and take tentative steps with the aid of a special harness. His muscular strength improves, and sensation gradually returns to his hind legs. The most remarkable aspect of Rusty's recovery is the undeniable connection between his progress and Emily's presence. Dr. Carter observes that Rusty consistently performs better in therapy sessions when Emily is actively involved, speaking to him and guiding his movements. This observation leads to a breakthrough in understanding the role of emotional bonds in animal rehabilitation. The Millers' journey with Rusty catches the attention of veterinary professionals and animal lovers across the country. Their story becomes a beacon of hope for other families facing similar situations with injured animals. Dr. Carter, in collaboration with Dr. Anderson, begins writing a paper on their innovative approach, potentially revolutionizing the field of equine rehabilitation. As Rusty's recovery progresses, the initial conflict and tension within the family resolve into a newfound strength and unity. John and Sarah, once divided on the decision to pursue treatment, now stand united in their commitment to Rusty's care. Their relationship grows stronger as they face each challenge together. Emily, through her dedication to Rusty, develops a maturity and sense of responsibility beyond her years. Her experience becomes a powerful learning opportunity, teaching her about perseverance, empathy, and the deep bonds possible between humans and animals. By the end of the year, while Rusty isn't fully recovered, he has regained a quality of life that once seemed impossible. The family's decision to fight for him has been vindicated, transforming a potential tragedy into a story of hope, love, and the power of unwavering faith. The emotional journey of the Miller family and their beloved horse Rusty reaches its poignant climax on a crisp autumn morning, mirroring the day of the accident a year earlier. The air is filled with anticipation as Emily leads Rusty out of the barn, her small hand gently guiding him. For the first time since the accident, Rusty walks without the support of his harness. His steps are slow and deliberate but steady. Emily walks beside him, her face a mixture of concentration and joy. John and Sarah stand a short distance away, their eyes glistening with unshed tears as they witness this miraculous moment. As Rusty and Emily make their way across the farmyard, neighbors who have supported the family throughout this ordeal gather around, their faces reflecting the emotion of the moment. Martha Thompson, who has been a pillar of support, dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief, her usually composed demeanor cracking with emotion. When they reach the fence of the paddock, Rusty's old stomping ground, Emily gently unclips the lead rope. For a moment, Rusty stands still, as if unsure. Then, with a soft nickering sound, he takes a few steps forward on his own. The gathered crowd holds its breath collectively. Suddenly, as if remembering his old self, Rusty breaks into a trot. It's not as graceful or strong as before the accident, but it's unmistakably a trot. Emily's laughter rings out, pure and joyous, as she runs alongside her equine friend, her golden curls bouncing in the sunlight. The sight of Rusty trotting in the paddock with Emily by his side triggers a wave of emotions among the onlookers. John wraps his arm around Sarah, pulling her close as they both struggle to contain their tears of joy and relief. The moment represents not just Rusty's physical recovery, but the emotional healing of the entire family. Dr. Anderson and Dr. Carter stand side by side, their professional detachment momentarily forgotten as they witness the fruits of their collaborative efforts. Dr. Carter, in particular, seems moved beyond words, realizing that this success could pave the way for countless other animals to receive life-changing treatment. As the initial excitement settles, Emily leads Rusty back to where her parents are standing. The horse nuzzles John's shoulder, then Sarah's hand, as if thanking them for their unwavering support. This simple gesture breaks the dam of emotions, and soon there's not a dry eye in the gathering. Martha steps forward, her voice quavering as she speaks. "I've lived in this community for over 7 decades, she says, and I've never seen anything quite like this. You Millers have shown us all what it means to have faith and perseverance." The emotional impact of Rusty's recovery extends beyond the immediate family. The community, which rallied around the Millers in their time of need, feels a shared sense of triumph. This collective experience has strengthened bonds and created a lasting testament to the power of community support. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the farm, there's a palpable sense of closure and new beginnings. The Millers' ordeal has transformed them, individually and as a family, leaving them with a deeper appreciation for life, love, and the unbreakable bonds between humans and animals. As the golden light of the setting sun bathes the Miller farm, the family gathers on the porch, watching Rusty graze peacefully in the paddock. The scene is one of tranquility and contentment, a stark contrast to the turmoil of the past year. John and Sarah exchange a loving glance, acknowledging the truth in their daughter's words. "We all did it together, sweetheart," John replies, ruffling Emily's hair affectionately. "Rusty, you, the doctors, our neighbors, we all played a part in this miracle." As if on cue, Rusty lifts his head and lets out a gentle whinny, causing the family to laugh. The sound of their laughter, carried on the evening breeze, seems to symbolize the joy and healing that has taken place. As night falls on the Miller farm, there's a sense of a new chapter beginning. The family has been tested, changed, and ultimately strengthened by their ordeal. They look to the future with renewed hope and a deeper appreciation for the power of love, determination, and the unbreakable spirit of both humans and animals. In the months following Rusty's remarkable recovery, the Miller farm becomes a symbol of hope and perseverance. The story of the family's unwavering dedication and Rusty's triumphant return to health spreads far beyond their small community. Dr. Carter and Dr. Anderson's collaborative paper on Rusty's rehabilitation is published in a leading veterinary journal, sparking interest in their innovative approach to animal care. Veterinary schools across the country begin incorporating their findings into their curricula, potentially changing the way injured animals are treated for years to come. The Millers, once an ordinary farming family, find themselves at the center of a movement advocating for more compassionate and holistic approaches to animal care. They start hosting workshops and seminars, sharing their experience with other animal owners facing similar challenges. As for Rusty, he continues to improve, serving as a living testament to the power of love, determination, and cutting-edge medical care. His presence on the farm is a daily reminder of the miracle the family witnessed and participated in. 5 years later, the Miller farm has transformed into a sanctuary for injured and rehabilitating animals. Rusty, now fully recovered, helps Emily work with other horses facing similar challenges. The bond between the girl and her horse remains as strong as ever, a beacon of hope for all who visit the farm. Their story continues to inspire, reminding everyone of the extraordinary power of faith, love, and perseverance. As you reflect on the Millers' inspiring journey, consider the animals in your own life. How can you deepen your bond with them? Remember, every animal has a unique story and the potential to touch our lives in profound ways. Support your local animal shelters and rehabilitation centers, and never underestimate the healing power of the human-animal connection. Together, we can create more miracles like Rusty's.